Welcome, friends, to another exciting episode of A VGM Journey, and I'm your host, The Messenger. The track that we're playing into today's show is I Solved the Demons from the game Doom. It was composed by Robert Prince. It's a brand new year, and with that, I just have a pretty normal episode with some really cool tracks. And I think that alone makes up for the fact that this is not going to be a super crazy episode. Or it could still be a super crazy episode. Who knows? But in all seriousness, I do have some really cool tracks for you guys today. And let's say we get right into it. I'm going to play this track from Super Mario Galaxy 2. The track is Melty Monster Galaxy, and that it was composed by Ryu Nagamatsu and Mahito Yokota. That track that you just heard, that was Melty Monster Galaxy from the game Super Mario Galaxy 2, and it was composed by Ryu Nagamatsu and Mahito Yokota. This track is an interesting one to me, because context-wise, the level itself is a lava level, and that it starts off conveying that, especially with the little sitar that pops up here and there. But it winds up becoming more than that, and that it has sort of this militaristic march kind of vibe to it. And I really dig the callbacks to the original Super Mario Galaxy as well in that track. And I think the level itself is pretty fun, or at least the two levels that you're playing with that is in the first one, you get pulled around by what's called pull stars, where you point at these blue circular star things, and that they would grab Mario, and you're able to like pull him around to different spots. And I really like the momentum-based gameplay that comes with that. But then in the second level for it, you are using Mario's rock power, where he rolls into a big boulder, and you're moving your way through this obstacle course. And it can get a little tricky sometimes, but overall, I still think it's a good time. We're going to move on to something quite a bit different, and this is coming from Dress to Impress. The track is the Runway theme, and that this was composed by BSlick. pretty fire track that you just heard. That was the Runway theme from the game Dress to Impress, and it was composed by BSlick. Dress to Impress is a game that you can play on Roblox where you and some other players play as these fashion models, and that you are given a theme and that you have to pick out an outfit that best fits that meme. And then you get to walk the runway and get judged by the other players. And they'll give you a score, and whoever has the most stars wins that game. And why do I know all this? It's because producer of the show Carly really likes this game. And though it's not my cup of tea, I will say that the soundtrack is really good for it. And that, well, this track plays when all the models are walking down the runway. Based off the gameplay that I've seen of Carly playing the game, it does seem like it's an alright game, and that it is really cool to see how the other players interpret a theme. So you would get themes like cyberpunk or retro 80s, but if I were to nitpick at one thing, it's that I don't really like the judging system. And I only say that because I feel like a lot of people probably purposely give the other players a 1-star rating, and then they're hoping that they get a 5-star rating in return and then win the game. I'm not saying that everybody would do that, but I'm pretty sure a lot of players are doing that, and that's just not cool in my opinion. But hey, at least you get a pretty fire track like this, so maybe it just makes up for it, I guess. We're going to move on to a segment that I like to call Then and Now. And normally I pick a track that's pretty old and that I will also play a newer version of that track. But I decided to go with this really cool one of a track from a game from 2024 with an arrangement from 2025. I'll give you a second to come up with a guess, then I will tell you. And if you said Balatro, then you are right. So I'm going to play the main theme from Balatro, but then I'm going to follow that up with the arrangement from Vampire Survivors. The track was originally composed by LouisF, and that the arrangement was done by Daniele Zandara. Those tracks that you just heard, that was the Balatro theme in both Balatro and Vampire Survivors. It was originally composed by LouisF, and that the Vampire Survivors arrangement was done by Daniele Zandara. Two wildly different versions of the same track. And to be honest, it's really hard to pick a favorite amongst the two of them. With the original theme, it's very chill and I would say very dreamlike too, with its really long and drawn out notes and that weird synthy sound to it. And that the game itself, Balatro, it's a very chill experience. And that it's pretty much the new solitaire. I mean, you got playing cards, and that you're trying to play these poker hands, but it's a roguelike and a deck builder game. And you also get these wild Joker cards that have different effects. And it's a game that I like to play here and there if I just have a few minutes to kill. But sometimes that few minutes turns into like an hour, but hey, the game is pretty addictive. And at some point, Balatro was getting these different crossover cards that you can get. So there was stuff like Assassin's Creed and Dave the Diver, Fallout, and that there were also Vampire Survivors cards as well. And I didn't think too much about it for a future crossover between the two games until late 2025 when a Balatro themed DLC came out for Vampire Survivors. And alongside that, you get this really energetic version of the Balatro theme. And I think this kicks ass. And that I think Daniele Zandara did a really great job on this arrangement. It's very action-packed. And that this really chill track just seems to work really well for an action game like Vampire Survivors. Though I am messing up a little bit and saying that, yeah, I have yet to play the Balatro DLC for Vampire Survivors. I need to get right on that. And like always, let me know which version that you guys like the best. Do you prefer the more chilled out original or the more energetic action-packed version on Vampire Survivors? We're going to move on to a short but sweet NES track, and that track is called Werewolf Form from the game Werewolf, The Last Warrior. And it was composed by Shogo Sakai, Takafumi Miura, and Yusuke Takahama. That track that you just heard, that was Werewolf Form from the game Werewolf, The Last Warrior. It was composed by Shogo Sakai, Takafumi Miura, and Yusuke Takahama. And that's going to just about do it for the show today. If you like what you've been listening to, have your friends check out the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify if the show is still somehow up, YouTube, and also TerraPlayer, the home for various different video game and video game music podcasts. You can email the show at vgmjourney@yahoo.com, and you could also check us out on both X and Blue Sky at VGM Journey. We also have a Discord server for the show, which I'll provide a link for that in the show notes, where you can hang out with your fellow VGM journeymen and talk about games, music, and even look at some cool art. We're also going to play things out with one more track, and this is the staff roll from the game Rocket Knight Adventures. It was composed by Masanori Oouchi, Hata, Michiru Yamane, Masanori Adachi, and Hiroshi Kobayashi. Have a good one, everyone.